Before we can flip the hulls over and start fiberglassing, we need to finish the sterns. Just like we added the outer stems to the bow, all of this back here needs to be finished as well. And I want to put some steps on these, and the plans don't really show how to build the steps. So a lot of this is going to be just trial and error and figuring it out as it goes. So that's what this video is going to be about. We're not going to finish the steps yet completely in this video, but as you can see, it is progressing and we're starting to get things framed in and ready for the steps. So follow along and I will show you all of the details. You can't really call these sugar scoops. They're a little bit too steep for that. So I'm just going to call them the stern steps. Alright, so here we go. It's time to work on the sterns of each hull, and in order to do this I have positioned the hulls diagonally here in the garage so that I'll be able to get back here and have enough room to work. And let me show you a close-up of what I'm thinking about here. This is what it looks like at the stern of each of the hulls, and this is the final bulkhead, and this is the outer hull side, which comes down at an angle, and this is the inner hull side, and this is the hull bottom. And the plans originally had the hull bottoms ending right here where they meet up with the hull sides. And when I made the hull bottoms, I made them a little bit longer, just in case I needed the extra room. And what that meant was that when I did the planking, I brought the planking all the way out to just past the end of the hull bottom here. So this planking extends a couple inches further out than the outer hull side. So here's what I'm going to do is, instead of cutting this hull bottom off straight here like this and then have to cut all of this planking off, I'm going to make this a diagonal here. So it might look a little strange, but I kind of like it. It'll give the boat some character. And so the hull here will kind of come at an angle like this, so the inner hull will actually extend a little bit, a few inches longer than the outer hull side. And we'll see how that works. But the other thing is that the plans really just show building a flat side here to the end, and I want to put some kind of step here. So I'm going to build up some framing, and I'm going to try to put a step at about this height right here. So this part in here will be an area to be able to step on, to be able to get up, to be able to get in and out of the boat. So that's the idea, and we'll see how it works. So it's important, I think, to figure out first what corners or edges to take as a reference and which sides are going to be beveled in which direction. So for example, if we were to base our measurements off of this edge versus this outer edge at an angle like this, that could make a difference of at least a good 1/4 of an inch. So I think I'm going to take this outside edge and bevel it that way. So we'll base the measurements here on the inside edge, because this outside will go away. And here on this side, I've got a line here, and I'm going to bevel this one the same direction. So that means the edge we're going to keep here is going to be the outside edge, and the inside edge is the one that will go away. Now, not here exactly, but from this corner down here. So I'm going to take this line and put that right here at this corner, this outside corner right here, and use that to mark a line to cut this planking. And when I cut the planking, Again, I'll be cutting it at a slight angle headed in the direction of that hull side over there. Alright, overall I would call that a success. I was able to follow the line that I drew. However, the angle wasn't quite what I wanted, and that's because it was going to be very difficult. I started the cutting down at the bottom, and it was going to be very difficult to cut at the angle that I wanted. So it ended up kind of cutting it almost straight out. Here I marked a line here at the top, and you can see that line points directly towards the outside hull edge that we want, yet the cutoff kind of goes straight. It should have been cut along that line at that angle, but this we can plane this off or sand this off to fit the right angle. So I'm not too worried about that. At least the outside edge here is following the line that I wanted. So now the next thing is going to be to cut this bottom off at an angle going like that. Alright, so using this straight edge right here, I was able to mark a line, well, two lines actually, right here and right here. And I think the best way to do this is going to be use the pull saw, the manual hand pull saw, to cut through those stringers at that angle. And once that's cut through, maybe then cut the stringers off this way and this way so we have a flat surface, and then I'll draw another line and then make that cut. Otherwise it's just too difficult to mark this with all the changes in the different height between the hull bottom and the stringers. So I'm going to use the pull saw first. Alright, that worked out pretty well. I used the pull saw here and I was able to cut those off at the compound angle. I had to also use the pull saw up here a little bit to take off some of this so that it could just lay flat here, and I wasn't sticking out or anything. So I was able to come straight down at the angle that I wanted. And I also used the pull saw to take this one out. So now I'm going to make a line straight across here, and I'll probably just use the pull saw to cut this whole thing off because it's going to be hard to get the jigsaw in with all these corners. Everything is trimmed now from this corner down to that corner and this one and up to here and of course up to this corner. And what we're dealing with here is not a flat plane, because this angle is a much steeper downward angle, and this angle actually comes out a little bit more. So it's kind of a twisted plane, but that's okay. It's not much of a twist, and like I said, I think it will give the boat some character. So the next step is going to be to figure out how to build some framing for a step. Both of the bow sterns are now trimmed, and here's this one, and you already saw this one. And all I've really done is just kind of vacuumed up some of the sawdust and trimmed the other hull. And I got to thinking about how I want to do this, make these steps, and I think one step is not going to be enough. Now, you know, you can't really call these sugar scoops because they're just too steep. They don't really extend out very much. So I'm just going to call them stern steps. And it is quite tall, so I'm going to put 2 steps on each stern. One will be down here fairly low, and another one is going to be right here. And the distance from the top to here is about 13 inches, so I'm going to make the next step also 13 inches down below there. So that'll put that at about here somewhere. And each step is going to be about 9 inches deep, so that'll be a good sized step. And in order to make this step also 9 inches, it's going to have to come out past this. But I don't want to bring it all the way out here because that's going to interfere with the step down here. You know, I'm not trying to build a ladder here at the stern. So what I'm thinking about doing is kind of offsetting the steps. So this step, yes, it will come out, but then it's going to go back in. So this step is really only going to be here on this side, and then this step will be mostly the full width down here. But the idea is if you're stepping up, you could put, let's say, you know, your right foot here, and then your left foot here. And then from there you could step on up to the top. So that's the plan, and I think I'm going to start by cutting out what's going to be this shape. And like I said, it's going to kind of curve out a bit and then go back in. Alright, so I'm using one of the cutoff pieces from the bulkheads, and this is the top step that I'm thinking about cutting out. I wanted to make it, you know, kind of a nice curve, and I'm thinking that's just going to be a lot of extra difficulty in getting all that tabbed in with fiberglass later. Plus I'd have to bend plywood around the curve. So I'm going to make it just angled instead. So it's not going to be square, but it'll be angled. And so yeah, let me get this cut out and see how it fits. I measured 9 inches from here to here, so we'll have a good 9-inch step here. Alright, this is what the upper step is going to look like, and that'll leave plenty of room down there for a lower step. And then we have the upper step, so I'll need to support this and get this mounted with some pieces of support wood. To make sure that the upper step is straight, I drew a line across here, and I can't use a level for this, but I use a square and align it 90 degrees with the outer hull side, which is straight up and down, and put the square here and draw the line down here at the bottom of the square, just like that. So I glued on 2 of the step supports, and you can see them right here. Now one thing is that these are not going to support the full weight of the step. I mean, you know, the full weight of a person standing on the step. For one, along this side, this is the hull and the stringer, so that's going to support a lot of the weight. And along this edge, I'm going to have another board underneath here that will go all the way down to the bottom of the hull, so that this is not just supported by the single glue joint here on this bulkhead. But yeah, so I just clamped those on, and the epoxy is dried, so I'll be getting the clamps off. And I did a little bit of work also on each of the steps. Let me show you that. For each of the steps, I also glued on a couple pieces of what will extend the stringer out a little bit, and these had to be cut at an angle here to match the existing stringer, and the front edge also had to be cut at an angle. So let me show you how they're going to fit on. Here is the starboard step, and it will fit on here just like this. So it will rest up against this support board that I glued on here, just like that. And this edge will sit flush with the planking, and these stringer extensions are inset a bit for another piece of plywood to fit inside here, and that other piece of plywood will cover up this open area here. At least this time I remembered to round over the edges using the trim router and a 1/4 inch roundover bit before completely gluing this step into the stern. So at least now I have full access to get this rounded over nicely. So many angles. So I missed this angle, and I'm going to have to trim this support board off. I noticed it when I started cutting the vertical support board to length, and I had to put an angle in it to match the angle of this step. And so to place that, I need to trim off the end of this support board right here, to match the angle of the step. When trying to decide what to do next, a lot of the ordering decisions are determined by, when can I still get clamps in place? So I'm not able yet to glue on this step, because then I wouldn't be able to get this clamp in here to put this support board in. So, and then down here for clamping, my large C-clamps are not able to reach all the way down here. So I put another C-clamp here to provide like a stable post here, and then change this clamp into spreader mode, and then use that to push up against that support board to hold it in place. So yeah, so we'll figure out what needs to be done next after this, and I don't know if I'll be able to put that top step shelf in yet or not. I might have to put more support boards down here for the bottom step. I'll just have to let this one cure and get these clamps off and try to piece things together and see what fits in what order. And here's the current state of the support wood pieces. So starting to build some support for the lower step. All of the framing is done for the lower step now, and I think I'm going to end this video here and get this posted so that you can see the progress. I was thinking I was going to finish up these stern steps and then post the video, but there's quite a lot of work to do here, and there's still a lot more, so I'm going to make this video all about the framing. Alright, that'll be enough for now. Bye.